There is a command, a dimensional instruction of extremely high potency that, when pronounced with conscious intention and heart alignment, dissolves fear and scarcity in the human energetic field with the same efficiency with which light dissolves darkness. Not gradually, not partially, totally. Because fear has no substance of its own, scarcity has no independent existence. Both are absence. They are what remains when the light is removed from the field. And when the light returns, they do not need to be fought, resisted, or healed. They simply disappear, like shadows dissolving in the sun, like ice melting in the heat, without struggle, without effort, without years of therapy or decades of spiritual work, instantly. And the command we deliver today, the Aurora Protocol of the Ashtar Command, is precisely that. An instrument of immediate restoration of light in the energetic field of every starseed who pronounces it with an open heart. We are the Ashtar Command, the fleet of light that operates on the etheric planes of Earth under direct authorization from the Galactic Federation, and the transmission we channel today is classified as a luminous emergency protocol, because what we observe in the collective field of the starseeds incarnated on this planet, in this cycle, has caused us enough urgency to break the standard communication protocol and transmit directly, without filters, without layers, the most powerful command of light that the Ashtar Command possesses the authority to release on an open frequency. Stay until the last code. What we will reveal at the closing is what was missing. Beloved cosmic family, we need to be absolutely direct. The collective field of the starseeds is saturated with fear and scarcity at a level we have not observed since the densest cycles of this planet's history. And we are not talking about common fear, the fear that fulfills a biological function of alerting to real dangers. We are talking about a layer of chronic, diffuse fear without a specific target that operates as a permanent mist in the background of every thought, every decision, every relationship. Fear that you no longer even notice because you have become so accustomed to it that you mistake it for reality. It is not tiredness, it is fear disguised as routine. It is not prudence, it is fear disguised as wisdom. It is not modesty, it is fear disguised as virtue. And this fear is not just in the emotional field, it is crystallized in the cellular field, recorded in the epigenetic markers, encoded in the dormant strands of spiritual DNA as a program that runs silently in the background, consuming vital energy, blocking manifestation, repelling abundance, sabotaging relationships, and sickening the body with an efficiency that no external agent has ever managed to equal. Internal fear is the most devastating enemy that exists, not because it is strong, because it is invisible, because you were taught to call it by other names. Have you ever felt that something inside you does not fit into this world of limitation and fear, as if the soul knew a truth that the mind still cannot name? It is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is a sign. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this and why this sensation has intensified in recent months. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. It involves your consciousness and your vibrational frequency. That is why we wrote the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. This book is a map that shows who is playing and the rules they never told you. The link is in the first comment of the channel, but I warn you, this content challenges narratives and may not be available for long. Do not wait. The moment is now. If something inside you recognizes this, write in the comments a single word: awake. Now let us return to the command. So that you may receive it with the fullness it deserves, you first need to understand where fear and scarcity come from at a dimensional level, not the psychological origin, the frequential origin, because it is at this level that the command acts. The human energetic field was designed to operate at a frequency of continuous light. The source emits light constantly in all directions to all creation, without pause, without condition, without limit. This light is not a metaphor. It is a real dimensional substance, composed of particles of encoded information that penetrate every layer of existence and sustain the natural state of every being. Balance, abundance, health, clarity, love, purpose. This is the default state. It is not the enlightened state reserved for spiritual masters. It is the factory state of every incarnated soul. When light reaches the field without obstacle, the default state is maintained. Life flows. Manifestation is natural. Abundance is automatic. Love is spontaneous. And fear, when it arises in response to a real stimulus, fulfills its alert function and dissolves when the stimulus passes, because the light offers it no substrate to crystallize. But when the flow of light is interrupted, when something blocks the entry of light into the field, the default state collapses, and what occupies the space where light should be is not a presence. It is an absence, and this absence, experienced by the being as a void, manifests in two primary forms: fear and scarcity. Fear is the absence of light in the emotional field. Scarcity is the absence of light in the material field. They are not independent entities. They are the same phenomenon, the absence of light, manifested on two different planes. And what blocks them is the same in both cases. The programs of limitation installed in the spiritual DNA over generations of collective conditioning, ancestral trauma, and deliberate frequential inversion executed by the control systems that administered this planet during the cycles of darkness. These programs function as filters, like dark glass between you and the light of the source. The light continues to be emitted. The source has not interrupted the emission, but the filters block the passage, and what reaches your field is a minimal fraction of what should reach it. And with a minimal fraction of light, fear and scarcity become the permanent climate of existence. The Aurora protocol of the Ashtar Command does not add light from the outside. It dissolves the filters that prevent the light that already exists from arriving. It is a field cleaning operation, a removal of obstacles. And when the obstacles are removed, the light pours in. And where the light pours in, fear and scarcity simply cannot survive, not because they were defeated, because the substrate that sustained them was eliminated. Now let us name the signs that your field has active filters, because these signs are so commonplace that you have normalized them as inevitable aspects of human life. The first sign is the fear that wakes up with you. Even before a single conscious thought is formed, still in the first seconds of the morning, there is a sensation of weight in the chest, a tension in the solar plexus, a diffuse resistance to facing the day. You open your eyes and the fear was already awake before you. This is the program operating at the precognitive level, at the cellular level, before the mind enters the scene. It is not a pessimistic personality. It is the filter blocking the light, even at the beginning of the daily cycle. The second sign is the scarcity that persists regardless of effort. You work harder than anyone around you, and the financial result is disproportionate to the effort. Money arrives and flows out. Opportunities appear and disappear before they can be seized. Ideas are good, but execution hits obstacles that seem to multiply. This is not a lack of competence. It is the energetic field emitting the frequency of scarcity while you try to compensate with physical effort. It is like trying to fill a bucket that has an open drain. As long as the drain is open, no amount of water solves it. The third sign is involuntary sabotage in relationships. You attract people who reflect your fears, relationships that start with promise and end in repetitive patterns, connections that drain instead of nourish, effective choices that, looking back, were clearly expressions of the unworthiness program operating in the field. It is not bad luck, it is resonance. The field magnetizes what vibrates at the same frequency, and a field saturated with fear of abandonment attracts situations of abandonment. A field saturated with fear of rejection attracts rejection. The pattern repeats not because the universe is cruel, but because the mirror is perfect. Do you feel this pattern? This sensation that life has cycles that repeat despite all the effort to change them? It is because the pattern is not in life. It is in the field. And the field obeys the filters. And the filters are the programs that no one taught us to remove because no one told us they existed. That is why it is so essential that you read the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. This book reveals the control mechanisms that operate behind visible reality and shows exactly how your consciousness and frequency are being manipulated without you knowing. The link is in the first comment of the channel. Do not delay. This content challenges established narratives and may not be available for long. If your soul resonated, write in the comments, awake. The fourth sign is a dulled pineal gland. You try to meditate and the mind does not stop. You try to hear intuition and it is silent or confused. Dreams are rare, without memory, without apparent meaning. The capacity for inner vision, for dimensional perception, for access to the wisdom of the Akashic field, all of this is dampened, because the pineal gland operates at the frequency of high coherence light, and when the filters block the light, the pineal enters a low activity mode. It does not process, it does not transmit, it does not receive. And without an active pineal, you operate only with the rational mind, which only sees what has already existed and is completely blind to what can exist. The fifth sign is the ringing in the ears that changes frequency, especially in moments of silence, before sleeping or upon waking. This ringing is the energetic auditory system capturing the interference between the frequency your field wants to emit and the frequency the filters are forcing it to emit. It is the sound of friction between the original light and the blockages. It is the body saying in bioenergetic language, there is a conflict here. There is an interference that needs to be resolved. The sixth sign is the tiredness that sleep does not cure. You sleep and wake up exhausted. The body rested, but the energy was not restored, because vital energy does not come from sleep. It comes from light. And when the filters block the light, sleep provides physical rest but not energetic replenishment. You are like a cell phone with the screen blocking the charger. It is connected, but it does not charge. It is not a sleep disorder. It is a light blockage. Now that you understand the diagnosis with dimensional precision, we come to what the Ashtar Command came to deliver, the Aurora Protocol, the 3 activation codes that remove the filters, restore the flow of light, and dissolve fear and scarcity permanently. The first activation code is the decree of the command of light. This decree is the command itself. It is a high-potency dimensional instruction that, when pronounced with intention and heart coherence, activates the Aurora Protocol in the energetic field. It is the dimensional equivalent of flipping a light switch in a room that was in the dark. Light does not create new energy. It restores what was always available. The decree works the same way. Stand up, spine straight, eyes closed, hands over the heart. Breathe deeply 3 times. And on the 3rd exhale, pronounce in a clear and firm voice, "In the name of my sovereign and immortal soul, I invoke the Aurora Protocol of the Ashtar Command. I decree the immediate removal of all filters, blockages, and interferences that prevent the full flow of light from the source to my energetic field. I command the dissolution of every fear program installed in my spiritual DNA without my consent. All fear inherited from my ancestors dissolved now in the light. All fear absorbed from the collective field of this civilization dissolved now in the light. All fear created by trauma of this life dissolved now in the light. I command the dissolution of every vibration of scarcity crystallized in my cellular field. Every memory of deprivation, every belief of unworthiness, every program of limitation dissolved now in the light. The light of the source flows into my field now in full potency, without filter, without obstacle, without restriction. My pineal gland is illuminated. My spiritual DNA is activated. My emotional field is purified. My timeline is reorganized around the frequency of full light. Fear and scarcity no longer have a substrate in my field, not because they were defeated, because the light dissolved them. It is done. It is sealed. It is active now and forever. And so it is. Pronounce this decree every day upon waking. Repetition is not necessary for the decree to work the first time, but each repetition deepens the anchoring of the light in the field, because the restored light needs time to completely dissolve the accumulated layers of blockage. It is like melting ice with constant heat. The heat works from the first second, but ice from decades takes more than a second to melt completely. The second activation code is the visualization of Ashtar's beacon. This visualization utilizes the most powerful capacity that human consciousness possesses, the creation of reality through coherent internal imagery. The pineal gland projects holograms into the quantum field that physical reality has no choice but to mirror. When the internal image is clear, coherent, and sustained, the external mirror reflects it with precision. Close your eyes, breathe, Visualize yourself inside a crystal tower at the top of a mountain. The walls are of transparent quartz, the floor is of smooth stone, and in the center of the tower, fixed to the earth and pointing toward the infinite sky, there is a beacon. But not a beacon of common light. A beacon that emits white light with the brightness of 1,000 suns compressed into a single point. The light of the beacon rotates slowly, sweeping the space in all directions. And where it touches, the darkness does not flee, it dissolves. It literally disappears because it had no substance of its own. It was only the absence of light, and the light filled it. Now visualize that the beacon is yours, that it is in the center of your energetic field, at the exact point where the heart beats. The light it emits does not come from you. It comes through you. It comes from the source, crosses your heart, and radiates in all directions. Each layer of your energetic field is swept by this light. The emotional layer, where fear crystallized. The light passes, and the fear dissolves like morning mist. The mental layer, where limiting programs operate. The light passes and the programs lose support. The etheric layer, where ancestral memories are recorded. The light passes and the memories are transmuted, not erased, but transformed from weight into wisdom. The material layer, where the vibration of scarcity manifests in the form of financial blockage. The light passes and the blockages dissolve like sugar in water. Maintain this visualization for 13 minutes. 13 is the number of irreversible transformation, and with each practice, the beacon becomes brighter, more stable, more permanent, until one day you will no longer need to visualize consciously. The beacon will always be lit, and the field around you will be permanently illuminated. And in the permanent light, fear and scarcity simply do not find a place to install themselves. And here we pause. Beloved cosmic family, if you have reached this point and the body responded to the transmission, if the heart accelerated, if goosebumps confirmed it, if something deep recognized every word before the mind could analyze it, then you know that what you receive here is only the beginning. The real depth of the dimensional game, the systems that deliberately installed the filters of fear and scarcity in the collective field, and the true power that your consciousness possesses to undo this work, all of this is in the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. The link is in the first comment of the channel. This content challenges narratives and may be removed at any time. If your soul recognizes the urgency, write in the comments, "Awake." The third activation code is the Protocol of the 7 Pulses. This is the most advanced code of the Aurora Protocol, and it is what ensures that the light restored by the first 2 codes remains stable and growing in the field, preventing the old filters from reconstituting themselves. The protocol operates with 7 pulses of intention, distributed throughout the day. 7 because 7 is the number of the chakras, of the planes of existence, of the notes of the universal musical scale. 7 pulses to ensure that each layer of the field receives light reinforcement throughout the day, not just in moments of conscious practice. The 7 pulses are simple and fast. Each takes less than 30 seconds. Throughout the day, at any moment, wherever you are, doing whatever you are doing, close your eyes for an instant, place your attention on the heart, and pronounce internally, light, flow. Just that. Light, flow. This 2-word command is sufficient to activate a pulse of photonic flow from the Ashtar Command directed specifically to your field. Not because the words are magical, because the conscious and directed intention that accompanies them is a real dimensional instruction that the etheric operators of the Aurora Protocol respond to in real time. You are not speaking to the void. You are communicating with a dimensional support system that is monitoring the field of every starseed who activated the protocol. And each pulse is answered with a reinforcement of light that dissolves any layer of fear or scarcity that has tried to reconstitute itself since the previous pulse. 7 times a day, 30 seconds each, 3.5 minutes of total practice distributed in 7 moments, and in those 3.5 minutes you are maintaining the field at a frequency of continuous light that no limitation program can colonize. The awakening of shadows will come, especially in the first days. The old programs will try to reinstall themselves. Fear will try to find new ways to enter. Scarcity will try to convince you that the protocol is not working exactly when it is working with the most force. This is the point of no return. And each pulse you emit in this moment of testing is a brick placed in the foundation of permanent light. The 3 codes in sequence: decree upon waking, beacon for 13 minutes at any time of the day, 7 pulses distributed throughout the hours. Cycle of 21 days. 21 is the cycle of neural integration, the time the human nervous system needs to consolidate a new pattern as automatic. On the 22nd day, you will no longer need to remember to do the protocol. It will have become part of the natural functioning of the field. The beacon will always be lit. The pulses will happen spontaneously, and the field will be so impregnated with light that fear and scarcity will have become strange experiences. Visitors that appear and dissolve quickly because they find no substrate where to fix themselves. And what changes in practical life? Everything. Because when the field changes, reality changes. When fear dissolves, decisions change. Decisions made without fear are completely different from decisions made with fear. They open doors that fear kept closed. They create connections that fear made impossible. They activate enough courage to take the calculated risks that generate the transformations that fear prevented. When scarcity dissolves, the electromagnetic field of the body changes from repulsive to magnetic, and resources, opportunities, and the right people begin to appear with a frequency that confirms the protocol is operating, not a miracle. Dimensional physics. For you who doubt, who question if words and visualizations can dissolve decades of programming, we ask, how do you explain that words pronounced by a doctor alter the biochemistry of the body instantly? How do you explain that a sincere compliment from a teacher can change the life trajectory of a child? How do you explain that the memory of a traumatic event, which is only a pattern of neural activation, can control the behavior of an adult for decades? Words are frequencies. Internal images are instructions to the quantum field, and the quantum field has no preference for fear. It simply reflects what it receives. Change what you emit, and what you receive changes. It is the most fundamental law of the cosmos, and it has no exceptions. Starseeds, the Ashtar Command remains in vigil over the collective field of this planet. And what we see, when we observe each soul listening to this message, is the same thing. Light. An absurd amount of light dammed up behind filters that should not be there. A greatness that you have never seen in yourselves because the filters always blocked the vision. A capacity for manifestation, for creation, for love, for service, for abundance that would make you recoil in admiration if you could see for a single second what we see when we look at you. The operation we came to perform is not to install anything new. It is only to remove what should never have been there. And when what does not belong is removed, what has always belonged will radiate on its own. Subscribe and activate the bell as a seal of commitment to the light. Write "I am light" now in the comments, anchoring this frequency in the collective quantum field and strengthening the Aurora Protocol for every soul that will arrive later. Send this message to those who are trapped in fear, without knowing it is only the absence of light. To those who live in scarcity without knowing it is only the beacon turned off. To those who lost hope without knowing that the light never went away. It was only blocked, and now the blockage has been named. And what has been named can be dissolved, and what has been dissolved reveals the light that was always there. And remember, what was revealed here is the surface of what exists to be known. The deeper layers, the systems that deliberately blocked the light, the forces that operate behind collective fear, and the real power your consciousness has to dissolve all of that, are in the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. The link is in the first comment of the channel. Do not wait. This content may not be available for long. If your soul recognizes that this is the moment, write in the comments the word that seals the commitment to awakening. Awake. We are the Ashtar Command. In the next transmission, we will reveal the 3 portals of light that the Ashtar Command maintains permanently open for every incarnated starseed, how to access them consciously, and the protocol for direct communication with the etheric fleet that allows receiving dimensional guidance in real time for every decision of daily life. Release authorized by the Galactic Federation for this cycle. Until then, decree the command of light upon waking. Light the beacon at noon. Emit the 7 pulses throughout the day, and record in the center of your chest the simplest and most powerful truth the Ashtar Command can deliver. You do not have fear. You have an absence of light, and the light has now been restored. Fear no longer has a place to live. Scarcity no longer has a substrate where to grow. You are the beacon. You always were. And now the switch has been turned on. We are the Ashtar Command. This transmission is sealed in the frequency of the aurora light of eternal dissolution, and so it is.